Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel and welcome back to another video. So you guys, I'm in my garage and I'm in my pantry. Now, I want to apologize up front. My lighting is not the best. I think I'm missing a light bulb that I really need to get fixed. So I did my grocery haul today, and I asked if anybody wanted to hear some meal ideas with what I have in my pantry. And quite a few of you said yes, they would love to hear some meal ideas. So I think Cass from Clutterbug, probably Tangy, no, maybe not Tangy. Okay, Cass from Clutterbug, and a couple others. I really can't think right now because my brain is not working correctly. They talk about doing your favorite 30 meals. Maybe it's Kimmy from She's in Her Apron. They talk about doing making a list of your 30 meals, your favorite family 30 meals. Also, I think I've heard Sarah from Our Tribe of Many talk about it in one of her grocery hauls or several of her grocery hauls, especially in her meal prep menu plan videos. One I saw a while back. I would say I'll link it, but I'd have to go search for it. And y'all already know I'm the worst linker. So with that being said, Kimmy also talks about prepping or, doing your food storage, but only putting in your food storage what your family eats, right? I can put all the things on here, but if my family doesn't eat them, then they're just going to stay on on these shelves or in my cabinets, and it's not going to be consumed. Wasted money, wasted effort, wasted time. So my kids and I have stocked and are continuing to stock the things that we like and enjoy and appreciate. We have a high concentration of carrots. We have a high concentration of green beans. I mean, we have shelf after shelf of green beans. We also have tomatoes. We like tomatoes quite a lot. We have some peas. Then we have greens. We have a lot of pasta sauce. And we also have sugar-free syrup, right? We have coffee, of course, is another thing that we have. We have a lot of pasta sauce, but not as much taco sauce or salsa because we're not really big salsa people. Although with salsa, that could be a base for a Mexican meal or a Tex-Mex of some kind. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take you guys through kind of what I have in here and just talk meals, right? So again, and we also have quite a lot of beans. We love beans. We don't eat them because we've been keto really for the last 4 years, but with things going the way they're going, we're really going to start consuming whatever we have. And that is just going to be how it is for our family. We're going to have to eat what is in our home and live that best life. So let's look. I brought a notepad and a piece of a pencil so that I can write down and just have this list for myself. 30 meals from Pantry Preps. Now, keep in mind that what I'm showing you is just my garage pantry. I'm not even showing you my regular normal in-house pantry, right? Because I've got different stores inside the house. There's certain things I don't want in the garage just in case for some reason, pestilence or anything like that. I just don't want to deal with any of that. Getting into things easily. These cans are pretty safe, so I feel very good having the stuff out here. So I'm going to start with what I have and kind of just walk you guys through some meals that we could have just based on some of the items that we have in here, as well as some of the items that we have in the house pantry as well. So of course, for one, you could always have spaghetti and meat sauce. So spaghetti and meat sauce, right? Because we have that. You could also do baked spaghetti. If you don't want to do it loose noodles, you could do a baked spaghetti. And that would be if you had also some cheese, sour cream, just kind of some basics. If you don't have cheese and sour cream, or maybe you have dietary restrictions that keep you from doing cheese and sour cream, you can still bake it in the oven. And just not put cheese. You can always do nutritional yeast, or you can just leave it blank, leave it empty. You could crush up crackers and put on top if you wanted a little crunch or something of that nature. Another meal you could do is lasagna. right? I got some ready-made lasagna noodles. We have sauce. So you could do lasagna and sauce. You could also add in, I think we have some cans of mushrooms. So you could do mushrooms. I have a mushroom spaghetti sauce that we could do. We could also use the lasagna noodles. If we didn't want to have lasagna, we could break them up into smaller noodly pieces and we could do a stroganoff. I do have some cream of mushroom. I have cream of chicken. I have cream of celery. So we could do a stroganoff. And in our inside freezer, we do have some meat. We don't have beef always, but you don't have to have a beef stroganoff. You can have a chicken stroganoff. I mean, you can have whatever meat you have, right? So make that your thought process. I don't have to have the beef if I don't have beef. You can just do the base, use the ready-made lasagna noodles, and then you can put whatever meat you have with it. Now, up here in one of the top shelvings that you can't see, I have jelly and I have almond butter. So the kids can always have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, right? We can always have peanut butter and jelly. I do have sugar-free jam up there that one of you lovely sent us at Thanksgiving time for us to make our cranberry sauce. And so I have a couple of those left and then a couple that I picked up from the regular store when I saw them on a sale. I do have 3 things of almond butter up there. A couple I got from Harris Teeter and one of them came from Costco. A friend of mine brought it over for us. So that we have. Also in one of my 5-gallon buckets, I have flour. With the flour, I can make homemade bread because I do have yeast and I just found a bread machine at the Goodwill. I can also do the easy no-knead bread that I've seen Hillary over at Old World Home make. And then there's another lady, my friend Karen, sent me her video. I can't remember her name. I wish I could remember her name. But she's a black lady that does gardening. And I saw her make a no-knead bread as well. And she just put it in her Dutch oven, which I don't have a Dutch oven. I was going to start looking at Goodwill for one to see if I can get one on a good price. But she makes bread, and then Sarah makes bread. She has bread pans, and I do have several bread pans. So I could make bread out of, we just have white flour. I don't have wheat flour. And I try not to use flour right now because I'm still trying to maintain the low carb lifestyle. But if I need to punt, then I can always shift and I can make bread. Now with bread, again, I got peanut butter and jellies, but I can also make French toast. So I can do French toast if I do homemade bread. If I need a milk substitute, I have this. This is Nestle's Media Crema or Table Cream, right? It says for sweet and savory dishes. I got this off of the International Aisle. So that's an item. So I can use that. If I had eggs, I could use this. I always have cinnamon in the house. And I could take fresh bread and make French toast. I also have evaporated milk back there as well. So I could use that as well. One of the things that we don't think about very often because I don't eat corn or haven't eaten corn in a while, but I have a lot of corn. I have cream style, I have white corn, and I have whole kernel corn. But I could make corn pudding. And with corn pudding, you simply need... I could do some Jiffy Cornbread mix with some corn, cream corn, and a regular corn. And I think there's a couple other ingredients that you would need for a corn pudding. And I probably need to pull a recipe for that. But you could do a corn pudding. If you wanted to if you had like some chicken or some type of a little bit of meat and you put it in your food processor and you ground it up very fine, you could put it in your corn pudding batter and bake it in. And then you would have some type of a protein to add into your corn pudding. So that we have and we can make. Just looking right above me, I have carrots. I can drain these, dry these. I can put honey, or I could put syrup if you're in a pinch, brown sugar, white sugar, and you can make glazed carrots with that. So you could do glazed carrots. And that could also be, you could do mashed carrots. That could be a side, but make them sweet and savory. So sprinkle with a little bit of dusting of a light brown sugar after you season it the way you want it. So that could be a side item. As I go down, I do have pumpkin. Of course, we keep the pumpkin for the dogs, but you could make pumpkin pie, right? 100% pumpkin. These are all that those are 100% pumpkin. These can also be made into pumpkin pops. You just dish out the pumpkin in spoonfuls and freeze them in your freezer. And then the dogs tend to like those. People might like them as well. As I scroll down a tiny bit, I have tons of cans of black beans. If you are into vegetarian or vegan, you can do black bean burgers. So black bean burgers might be something that if you don't have meat, you can still have protein, but using your black beans. Moving down, if I wanted to do a 15 bean soup, just using beans that I have in cans, I could do black beans, chili beans, cannellini beans, garbanzo beans, pinto beans, northern beans. So I may not be able to get a 15 bean soup, but I can probably get a 7 or 8 bean soup. Then using all of your spices. So I'm going to put 15 bean soup. And then in my parentheses, I'm going to put about 7 or 8 cans because those are the different soups that I have. Also with my beans, probably not my black beans, I would probably make a fresh salsa using black beans and some of the tomatoes out of the garden with some of the corn. So I could make a fresh salsa using the black beans, the corn, tomatoes from the garden, and then, of course, whatever else type of spices that we needed to use. Moving down, I have plenty of tomatoes. So if I ran out of marinara sauce in the can, I could make marinara sauce using my crushed tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, because we have some that are Italian style. We can put those in the crock pot, let them cook way down, put all your Italian seasoning in, and then you have kind of a homemade crock pot marinara sauce. So we could do that. Moving down, okay, I have some baked beans. I could do baked beans here. I could also take some of the chili beans and add those in to make a spicy baked bean, right? So you can do just a fresh pot of baked beans if you wanted to. You don't necessarily need meat to add into your baked beans. If you have it, it's great. If not, no worries. But if you wanted to make it like you had meat, you could take a can of this hot dog chili and add that into your baked beans, and it would mimic your, you know how people sometimes put ground beef. You could also put barbecue sauce in. I think I don't see any here, but a can of crushed pineapple, and then onions and peppers, red and green bell peppers, all into a crock pot with your baked beans. That would make an excellent baked bean. Moving down, let's see what else we have. I do see that I'm light in some areas. Okay, so I have tuna. For tuna, you can make tuna cakes, which is the cheaper version of salmon patties, right? You could take cans of tuna, mix it up just like you would do cans of salmon, and then you could fry those tuna cakes just like salmon patties. They just call something different. That would be another meal. If you wanted to do a fresh fruit salad, you could take fruit cocktail, oranges, and peaches, add those all together. You could keep them in the juice or drain the juice, and that would also make just a quick little neat fruit salad. Now, what I was looking for that I do not see, which I will have to add in, is potatoes. We used to have some potatoes in here, canned potatoes, because I would like to do collard greens and potatoes. So greens and potatoes would be good. Now, remember I told you my grandmother did like a goulash. So I could take all the ingredients that I would use for chili. Black beans, white beans, tomatoes, salsa, anything I would use for chili. Take a box of pasta, add it in, and my grandmother would call that goulash. Let your pasta cook down however much time it needs to cook. And of course, pasta has that... You know, it has that ingredient kind of that, you know, some people use that pasta water to keep their noodles from sticking. It kind of makes its own natural thickening. So then you would use that to thicken that goulash, and that would stretch a long way. Everybody knows, because in our 5-gallon buckets, we have beans and rice. So you can have beans, rice, and cornbread. Now, in the main house pantry, we do have oatmeal. So we could do a baked oatmeal. I saw Becky on Acre Homestead do a baked oatmeal for her husband, Josh. She said she makes one per week. He eats off that all week. You could do a baked oatmeal, adding in almond butter or some of the sugar-free preserves. That would be a really good one. Or you could drizzle it with the sugar-free syrup. We also have grits. Grits are a good thing that we could have. You could do like, you could make the grits thick enough and make like grit cakes, right? You could do like, instead of like what I've seen my grandmother make is cornmeal dumplings, but you could shape your grits, make it drier, shape them, and then fry them in a pan if you wanted fried grit cakes. I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen my grandmother make cornmeal dumplings out of cornmeal, and I think you can do the same. I know sometimes when you make your grits too thick, they clump together. So you could do that on purpose. Then shape them out into, you know, flatten them out, pan fry on both sides. And then you have, you know, you live in your best life. Also with canned potatoes, if you had canned potatoes and you wanted to do like a hash, you could do peppers, you could do onions, depending on what you have in your garden. You can take those whole potatoes, you can slice them into cubes. You can put them in some oil or butter, whichever that you have. We have oil in the garage. We have butter in the kitchen, in the fridge. And then you could make like a home fries for breakfast. So I'm going to write that down. Let me see what else I have. I have, okay, those are green beans, corn. Okay, over here, the chicken corn chowder, you can add in carrots, you can add in peas, you can add in green beans, you could add in black beans, you could add in salsa, and then you have a chicken corn chowder, just a thicker chicken corn chowder. You could add potatoes into that if you wanted to. So that would give you another meal. I know we don't like to talk about this. It's not my favorite, but I have some canned ham and canned Spam, right? In a pinch, if you needed to use that, it doesn't have the best taste. But if you took the canned ham and you diced it into small dices, centimeter dices, with a couple cans of whole potatoes, which you would probably dice as well, using a can of cream of mushroom soup or cream of celery soup, you could do a ham and potato soup. So that's one thing that you could do. Looking down. You know how Kimmy does, she does like a tuna pot pie, right? So you could take your cans of tuna, peas, carrots, corn, and then the cream soup and make a tuna pot pie. If you know how to make a homemade pie crust, which I've seen Jennifer over at A Country Life make. I've seen Becky at Acre Homestead make pie crust. So you could do a tuna pot pie. What else could we do? If you wanted to make mixed vegetables, if you didn't have mixed vegetables, but you like them all together, you could do green beans, you could do carrots, you could do peas, and add them all together to make a mixed vegetable medley, and you could use that. We have lots and lots and lots of cans of tomato soup. Tomato soup with homemade bread, that's a meal. With your homemade bread, if you had like some butter, you could toast it and then you could dip your bread in your tomato soup. Or if you had cheese, you could make homemade bread and grilled cheese sandwiches with tomato soup. What else would be good? Let's see. Trying to think what else I have in this pantry. Let me take you guys into the regular house, in the regular pantry, and see what we have out in there. All right, now I'm in the home pantry, and I'm trying to figure out what I have in here. So I have some of these Knorr rice sides. So of course that could go with any particular meat that I have. Or I could just put, I could add in like a broccoli, add in a thing of broccoli. I could also add in some meat if I had it to make a one-pot meal. I have... We always keep cake mix or something on hand. Just a couple eggs, a little water, a little oil. You have a dessert. I have relish, mayonnaise, or Greek yogurt with a box of pasta, elbow specifically, and a can of tuna. You could have macaroni salad. Or if you have Italian dressing, onions, peppers, elbow noodles, or rotini or penne, you could do a cold pasta salad. Of course, we've talked about your ramen noodles. You can take ramen noodles and add an extra veg. I think I've even seen Blessed Jess add in peanut butter to her ramen noodles to make like a peanut butter sauce. Or if you have chicken that you're trying to stretch, you can make chicken ramen noodles by opening up a couple packets. Ramen noodles, you generally come in those long strings, but if you break the noodles apart in couple big breaks, then you have more noodle. It's not just this long, massive noodles, but it breaks it down into a little bit finer pieces. And then you can add in more chicken and definitely more veg. That will help stretch it out. I do have pesto in here. So if I wanted to have pasta with no sauce, but I wanted a pesto with a light olive oil, so I could do pasta and pesto. Or a pesto pasta. What else do I have? I have plenty of grits. So if you have like seafood, you could do shrimp and grits. Or you can do cheesy grits. You can even do grits and greens if you like that combo. What else do I have down here that is decent? I keep pork rinds in the house. Pork rinds can be used for coating, right? You can use flour and pork rinds to give it more of a crunch. So they can be ground. Talk freezer a minute. In my freezer, we took out for dinner tomorrow some blade steak. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that blade steak, instead of doing it as a whole steak, we're gonna cut it up in bite-sized pieces. We're gonna toss that in some olive oil, in some garlic, a garlic Parmesan cheese, a garlic Parmesan marinade, and make steak bites. So that's what we're gonna do for that. For a fish meal, you can do fish chowder, right? If you had a few pieces of fish, cod, tilapia, whiting, I would say a non-bony fish that didn't have bones in it, you could do that with cauliflower. I've got some coconut milk in here if you have a dairy allergy, any type of veggies on the inside of that, and you could make a seafood chowder. Right? It tastes really good. You can make Jiffy Cornbread, or you can make keto cornbread, or you could do fresh no-knead bread and have bread to dip into your chowder. I do have in here some butternut squash. You can cut up butternut squash and make it into like little dices, or you can make a butternut squash mash, or you can make a butternut squash soup. So if you're a gardener or you have some type of some semblance of a garden, you can pull things out of your garden and use those inside of your house. Any of the tomatoes, we do roasted tomatoes. My kids love roasted tomatoes. And we can actually grind those, or we can put them in the blender to make marinara sauce if we wanted to as well. If we didn't have canned tomatoes in the pantry, we would then use the ones in the garage. We have lots of peppers. You could do stuffed peppers. We have peppers on our pepper plants. They're not the biggest peppers in life, but they're big enough that we could take rice, we could take some meat, and if you don't have meat, you could take the chili, hot dog chili, and rice. You can even do corn, you could do beans, black beans, you could do salsa, mix all of that together, dump it inside of your pepper, even if it's a small pepper. Then you could put salsa over the top, cheese if you have it, bake it in the oven, or you can use marinara sauce, cheese on top, bake it in the oven, and you can have stuffed peppers. Now, if you don't like your peppers whole, you can do unstuffed peppers and just cut your peppers in diced pieces and do the same thing I just said. Again, if you don't have meat, you can take the hot dog chili, your rice, your beans, your corn, your salsa, mix all that together, put the peppers in, everything in the oven for 30 minutes, 350 degrees, salsa on top just to make sure it's moist enough to cook those peppers. So you can do stuffed or unstuffed. What else? We have chickens. So you can do a whole chicken. You can bake a whole chicken. Then when you have leftovers, you can pull off that whole chicken and you can do chicken and rice, right? If you didn't want anything else, we have some broth here. Or once you pull the meat off of your chicken bone, say you don't want to cook that, you have leftover chicken, but you don't want to eat that tomorrow. You're eating something else, maybe another leftover. You take that chicken, put it in the fridge, but you take those bones, you put in your crock pot, and you roast it for 24 hours to pull out all of the minerals so you got more of a bone broth. And then you can take that broth, take the chicken meat that you had left over from probably the thighs, pull out your back meat. If you know, nobody wants to eat the chicken back, but listen, if you flop your chicken over, if you cook it whole, you don't debone it or you don't cut it in pieces, but you cook it whole. Once you get all the meat off the front of the chicken, the legs, the wings, the thighs, if you flop your chicken over, you're going to see on the back of that, there's going to be meat in that chicken back. Pull that out. That can go into your broth, and then you can throw in some brown rice. You have chicken and rice. Also, you can add in a can of white beans. You have chicken, white beans, and rice. So that is another idea. Or you can have chicken, white beans, and make a white chicken chili, right? All the ingredients that you need for a white chicken chili, if you wanted that as well, if you're doing your whole chicken. We have lots of chicken legs and chicken thighs. What we can do is take out a couple packages. We have barbecue sauce in the outside garage pantry. What we would then do is take those chicken legs or thighs, clean them up very well, take all your slime, extra fat, wash them really good. Season them inside the house. We have adobo seasoning up there. We have all seasoning. We have chili powder, cumin. Jackson is loving curry. So we would take all of those seasonings, season the chicken, throw them outside on the charcoal grill, take some of the barbecue sauce, and we would barbecue them. You could also have with that, you could have barbecue chicken and rice. You could have barbecue chicken, rice, and corn. You could have barbecue chicken, rice, and green beans. You could have barbecue chicken with greens and rice. You could have barbecue chicken with mashed potatoes, because up here in the pantry, we do have box of flaked mashed potatoes. So you could have mashed potatoes. You could make a home-style gravy using some of your bouillon. We have bouillon. You can make a home-style gravy using my coconut milk here. And we could have chicken with like a chicken gravy over mashed potatoes. You don't always have to have meat with sides, and you don't always have to have sides with meat, just depending on what you have. If you do a roast, you could throw in potatoes, you could throw in carrots. Look at all these ideas coming. So I have a roast in there. I can throw in potatoes, I can throw in carrots, I can throw in some shrooms. And after you get done with that roast, don't throw away that broth or those drippings. Take all of your if you do like pepperoncinis, you can pull those out. And if you have the bones where the meat was cooked so tender it just fell off the bones, take that out. Do like a cornstarch slurry, or you can put a can of chicken, cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup in there, and that can be your stroganoff broth, and then add in your noodle for chicken stroganoff or beef stroganoff, if you have that, you know, use that broth later, right? Don't just toss that out. What other kind of meat do we have? We've done steak bites. We've done pork chop bites. You could do kebabs on the grill if you wanted to. Grill up some of those types of items. Meat, just do meat kebabs. Or if you have, like I said, a veggie garden, you can take some of your veggies out. If you have onions, if you do your mushrooms, if you have tomatoes, we have the little cherry tomatoes. We could put our cherry tomatoes on a skewer and put those on the grill and grill them that way. We didn't have to always do them in the oven. So let me see how many ideas I have thus far. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 28, 29. I gave you 30. That was 30 ideas of what you could do with your pantry items, or 30 ideas that I could get out of my pantry. And again, that's just my pantry. Just some honorable mentions. We do have oatmeal. You could do oatmeal raisin cookies. We have oatmeals and raisins, and we have flour. We have all the things. We have chocolate, sugar-free chocolate chips that we could use to do an oatmeal raisin chocolate chip cookie. We could do plain chocolate chip cookies. We could do brownies because we have enough stuff. I have cocoa powder. We have enough flour and sugar that we could do brownie batter or brownie mix and make it that way. When you're in a situation where you have food shortage, or you have, you know what I'm saying, you just have circumstances that are beyond your control, I think all diet plans, not eating for your health, like people who have gluten allergies and different things like that. That's not what I'm saying. My being keto, I don't have to be keto if I have food shortages in my area, or there are places or things that I can't get to. So I'm going to stick with what I have and eat what I have. I'm not going to feel bad about it because I've worked hard to put this food in this pantry, these pantries that I have around, and we're going to use what we have. So if you're caught in a situation where you're in what you're in, that goes out the window. You eat, you feed your family. If I can encourage us to do anything, learn how to bake bread. I'm going to be using this summer to learn how to bake bread in my bread maker and outside of my bread maker, which means I'm going to have to use flour, which means I'm going to have to use the bread. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to learn how to do it so that I know. I'm going to be looking for a Dutch oven to see if I can find one so we can have a nice crusty bread. I do have some loaf pans where I can do some loaf bread, and that will be totally fine. So my kids would eat it, just no problem. Learn how to utilize things like your charcoal grill. Learn how to get your charcoal started without lighter fluid. Learn how to make a chimney. I saw Becky on Acre Homestead. She made these things called fire starters. I thought about doing a few of those so I would have it for the grill, because we may not always have propane for the gas grill. I do have a gas grill, but I also got a charcoal grill just in case. You never know if you're gonna go off the grid or the power goes out. You just have to be able to feed your family. I also have wood outside. I don't have a fire pit, but I am thinking about that as a house project. I'm also thinking about decking out on the side where we put the seating area. I want to deck that. And if I deck it, then I want to put a fire pit out there that burns wood. So that way we will be able to have, you know, a fire if we needed to. I can cook over the open fire if I needed to. It's whatever we got to do to survive whatever we find ourselves in. Again, I don't believe in panic. I don't believe in panic buying. I believe that God's going to take care of his people. He has proven himself to me more times than I can explain to people where it makes good sense to you. But I'm telling you that God has always provided for us. We have what we have. We have more than enough. I have skill. I know how to do certain things. And with that being said, I'm just going to trust the Lord that all is going to be well and it's going to work out. So I want to encourage all of us, if I'm able, that be prepared. I have a, one of you lovely sent me a book. Let me grab it. One of you lovely sent me this book a while back. It probably was last year. And it's called The Thrifty Cook, Tasty Budget Recipes. And it's by the food editors of the Farm Journal. So this is an old book, right? I'm not real sure where you got it from, but this is what's neat and interesting in it. So in the back of the book, it gives you the cuts of pork and the cuts of beef and how to cook them. So in the book, it gives you this diagram of the cuts of the meat, cuts of all the meat. This is pork and this is beef. And then it tells you how to cook each cut, which I think is very good information, especially if you're not familiar. And here's the thing. If you lose power, eventually you're going to lose your internet, right? So you need to have resources. She also gives in this book nutrients that your body needs. And it talks about protein, calcium, iron, iodine, vitamin A, thiamine, ascorbic acid, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin D, carbs, fat, and water. And then it tells you what it does and where you can find those types of vitamins. So I think that is really helpful to have in this book. I'm glad I have this. And always sits on top of my refrigerator. And then in here, there's some other things in here. The Thrifty Cook. Cooking with taste and thrift, homemade mixes to save time. So let me go to chapter 2. If you want to make spaghetti sauce mix or spaghetti sauce with meat, she tells you how to do that using a few ingredients, and then you store it in jars and you use it as you need it. Noodles with meat sauce, sloppy joe seasoning, she puts here. Meatloaf seasoning is in here. Chili seasoning, how to make a chili seasoning. So you have all of these. This is just all of seasonings that you would pre-mix, keep in jars. White sauce mix, she tells you how to make a white sauce. Right in there, look at that. That's neat, right? So if you don't know how to do some of these things, then they're in here for you. How to do a Spanish rice seasoning mix, which of course we do have rice, and we probably have all of the ingredients that we need to make a Spanish rice, which is so good. She gives us a corn or a clam chowder, which of course we already have that in the canned base, but she tells us other things that we can add as well. Let me see. Edited by Nell B. Nichols. Yes, I want to make sure I'm saying her right. Oven fried chicken, stuffing, beef flavored rice, how to make flavored rice. So if you have, like I said, if you did a roast and you have all of that broth left, you can take that broth, throw it in a pot, throw in your rice, and now you have a flavored rice. Same with chicken stock as well. She tells you how to do croutons. You can do cheese seasoned croutons. You would take 6 cups of bread crumbs or 9 slices. Again, if I'm going to make bread, I can make bread, put it in the oven to dry, and then I can add in Parmesan cheese, melted butter, and then toast them to make cheesy croutons. Instant cocoa mix, right? So if you can't buy it, here's how to make it. There's an instant cocoa mix. This looks a little bit like the book that Jennifer did. Then in chapter 3, she talks about economy meals, economical meat dishes. So she has beef dishes, she has Swiss steak dishes, she has stew. There's a ton in here. Then she goes into popular ground beef dishes, how to make meatballs, how to make chicken dishes. So I think this is awesome. I'm going to go through this book and actually look and see if there aren't some dishes. Oh, something in here was called Wisconsin hot dish. And I think, yes, Wisconsin hot dish. And I've seen Jennifer make something called a Wisconsin hot dish. But that's in here. So that's in here. And then this is cottage tuna sandwich. So again, you could do tuna salad, right? You could take cans of tuna, some sweet relish, onions if you like that in your little seasoning, and mayonnaise, and you have tuna salad. You can put that on bread. You can toast your bread, put that on bread, and now you have tuna salad sandwiches. We have eggs. You can do deviled eggs or angel eggs in our house, just depending on how you look at it. But there's a ton. Now, if you want to see me cook anything out of this cookbook, this is the Thrifty Cook. If you want to see me cook anything out of here or make some of the mixes that she has already pre-mixed, just let me know. Drop a comment down below. I'd be happy to go through this with some of the things that I have inside of my house and see if she teaches you how to make homemade stewed tomatoes. Of course, we're getting some big boy tomatoes off of our vines. So homemade stewed tomatoes. How about that? She teaches you how to do all of that. That is awesome. And then I guess you could can. I haven't even started canning yet, but it is something I want to learn how to do. So I'll probably take the rest of my summer and utilize this book a little just to make sure that I'm finding, you know, meals that I can use with the items that I have inside of my house. Just looking at this right now, if you had regular potatoes that you buy in a bag, you could take oil, you could take ranch seasoning, which we do have some ranch seasoning in here. Put them in the oven, roast them for ranch potatoes. I did see on TikTok, I think it was TikTok, might have been Instagram stories. This guy, he took mayonnaise, dropped it into his potatoes, added in all the seasonings, threw it in the oven, and they came out really nice. I don't know what they tasted like, but I thought, oh, mayonnaise is an interesting thing to add to your potatoes. I've seen smashed potatoes that you can do like that as well, but I have never seen them use the mayonnaise, but you could use the ranch seasoning and you can have ranch potatoes. So those are a couple of ideas, 30 meals, 30 meal ideas, 30 different dishes you can put together. A meal doesn't mean a meat and a side and 2 veggies and that. A meal is whatever you consider a meal. You can have a potato with cheese, sour cream, chives, and call that a meal. You can have a baked potato as a dinner, right? If you don't have meat, you can take a can of hot dog chili, add it on top, and now you've got baked potatoes with chili and cheese if you have cheese. So again, just a few things that we had from our pantries in here that I was able to share with you. Write down those meal ideas, keep them somewhere close, and say, hey, oh, this is what I have. These are my meal ideas. Do I have the ingredients for this? I know Kimmy's really big on having your ingredients. You know, if I know my family's going to eat this, I need this many cans of this to make this recipe, right? So and I know somebody on one of my previous videos had mentioned that the 52-week list was good, but they've started prepping meals, right? I'm just going to prep meals. It's the same concept. If I know I'm going to do, you know, if I'm going to need tomatoes for this recipe, whatever the recipe is, get enough of stuff for that one recipe or double it times 2 times 4 each time you go to the store. And if you have 30 meals, then I know I need 30 different recipe types of ingredients. Then I just get those things for these meals. So that's, you know, that's another way to look at it. But do what you need to do for your family. Shortages are coming. Shortages are already here. We can't continue to say it's coming. It is here already. And we want to make sure that we are fully equipped, fully prepared to do all of the things that we need to do. With that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out with us in our garage and in our kitchen. We do appreciate all that you do for our family in the support of the videos, the likes, the shares, the shout outs, the comments, all of that. It helps us so very much. We're going to be in this country kitchen prepping a lot this summer, just seeing how we can all grow and learn together, the kids as well. You're going to see them cooking just as much as mom, because they're going to need to know things if I'm not around or not unavailable, and they're able to make sure that they can put meals on the table for their families as well. So there it is, you guys. Quick and easy meals from our pantry. If you like the video, thumb it up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.